Mr. Miller, you're recognized for 5 minutes of opening testimony. Thank you so much for your participation and your overall work. Thank you so much.
I want to thank everybody for allowing me to be here. I'm not here to put down hip-hop because I want everybody to know, and I didn't prepare a speech. What I'm going to say is coming from the heart, and I think after we leave today, we should come up with some type of solution. I watched the first panel, and I want to commend David Banner for being here, and I think he's an educated brother, and hip-hop is being educated. I think we on the same premises. My whole goal for being here is to preserve hip-hop. And I know this is a culture that involves, and I watched the first panel, we talked about society. It's definitely a part of a problem from society, but we are inflaming this problem by not being responsible. And I want to take that responsibility. First, I want to tell everybody here that I was once part of the problem. And hopefully as I move on in life and I raise kids, I want to be a part of the solution. And the reason why we have such a vivid problem right now is that nobody wants to take responsibility. And I made a lot of money off of hip-hop, gangster rap music. That was all I had in my community. So I feel Mr. Banner's frustration because people are only looking at the artist. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's not the artist. Because when you look at it in society, I've been on both sides, the business side and on the artist side. And I think that's why I could really explain where we are right now in society. Right now, we stop focusing on the artist. Because to me, in this business, you look at society as a hip-hop artist. This is a business. When I watch everybody get up here and talk about this, this is a financial business. Hip-hop is a $4 billion business. But is the artist benefiting from that? No, we can set up things to where the artist is being a puppet and we have puppet masters. So what I'm saying by that is that we stop focusing on each other. And I watch a bunch of these guys go in the back, and me and Mr. Banner, I hope after this, that this is not a debate for me and him, that we could sit down as brothers and sit down as all these other guys in their business. When they went in the back, they all communicate. They understand the big picture. And once we get us to understand the big picture, we definitely can save our kids and our community. And this about, with me, is about growing up. You know, growing up in society is so important. And can I be here 10 years ago and tell you the same thing I can tell you? No. Well, we all get to that level where we can grow up and understand the valuable part that we can play to preserve hip-hop, because to us and our kids, this is a way of life. This is the way we take our kids out of the ghetto. And for me, I could honestly say I was only in it for the money. I had nobody to pat me on the back to say, Pete, you could do something else with your life. Think about the music. Think about the content. Kids are listening. When I changed my life, I understand that my kids, I was in a car with my own kids, and I turned my CD on, and I noticed my kids was in the car. I had to turn the music down. And I said, you know what? I need to fix my own problem. We have to start fixing this as an individual. And I hopeful after the day, everybody that was on this panel earlier, they all have the same intent. I mean, that we can all communicate and start putting some great property, some great music, some great visuals. I want to meet with these guys and say, you know, what can we do? Let's fix the problem, because even these executives are not the problem. You know, people have to realize Deborah Lee is not the problem. You know, everybody have a job to do. But what I'm saying is, if we start thinking about what we're doing and understand, just like Mr. Banner said, when you look at society, gang violence, 800,000 gang members are formed right now. 25% of the murders and the crimes are committed by gangbangers. And my thing is, with my music, I honestly say, music do put you in the mood. I look at my past history music and I say to myself, wow. I was thinking about my own feelings. My brother died, so I was angry. My cousin died. I had 12 other friends that got murdered in my community, so I just made the music that I feel, not realize that I'm affecting kids for tomorrow. And so if I could do anything today and change that, I'm going to take a stand and do that. I hope this society don't judge me by my past. And one thing what I have for a solution, that we have to treat the hip-hop industry just like the league, like the NBA. I figure we have to form some type of union where we can control, because the executive in this business right now can't control. We could hit these kids' pockets. Anybody that have a money problem say, hey, if you put out this type of music or you don't change or think about what you say and we're gonna hurt your pockets with it, people are gonna change because most of these guys are in it for the money. And it is a business. Now I also want to tell you that looking back at everything that I did and saying taking this to the next level, us as people, we have to figure out it's a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of knowledge and it's a lack of vision. Back then I had no vision. I had nobody to give me this vision. So we start getting with our kids and talking to our kids and figure out how can we give them this knowledge and this vision that we could take our game to the next level, how we can prepare our kids. Prepare them for, right now we're preparing our kids to lose. That's what the problem, that's why we got so many angry artists right now. We're preparing our kids, once they get this money, they don't know about taxes, they don't know about handling this money, they don't know, only thing they know, I watched a lot of guys up here, they are able to transform to other different companies. After it's over with a hip-hop artist career, he's going back to the hood. And he's put in that environment where somebody going to say, hey, man, you did all this, now you turn your back on us. But I'm not turning my back on my people. I want to help us grow. And I can figure out whatever solution I want to build. And I think if we look at the crime right now, we have to put the facilities up. Gangs right now. I want to challenge these executives. I want to challenge the government to say, you know what, let's put up some facilities with a gymnasium in the library so we can teach these kids how to read and how to grow something more than just music. And let's think about the consciousness that we're putting into our music. So I figure we form some type of union like the NBA has. They have a union that they talk about the music. I mean, they talk about what happens on and off the court. And we start finding kids for what they do and hitting their pockets. I think we could change our music industry and preserve it and save hip-hop. And that's my goals right now, to stop pointing the fingers and let us all get together and figure out how we could preserve this billion-dollar industry and also teach our kids about equity funds, about growing, about building a generational wealth. Instead of teaching our kids, destroying them, saying we're going to take the next one out and put the next one in. When 50 Cent ain't hot no more, we're looking for somebody else. Now, what do 50 Cent go after this? Why is he not a company executive? So now he can understand the problem and say, this is what I've been through, let's save some of these kids. But I think the problem is right now we focus on just the artists. We got to take the focus off the artists and we got to come together as what we're doing today. But we got to get behind the scenes and let's keep this going.
Thank you very much for your commentary and for your testimony. And Dr. Dyson, 5 minutes, please. I'm kind of liberal with my 5 minutes, but 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Congressman, Reverend Honorable Russ, and to all of the members of the committee and to my fellow panelists here, Mrs. Banner and Miller. It's a deep and profound honor to be here today, simply because this is such an important subject. That is, to draw a sharp and powerful distinction between edifying and intensely uplifting art and art that lacks what some people say is cultural and social imagination. But what's more interesting and more provocative even still is the fact that we're wrestling with ideas that transcend a particular art form or aesthetic expression. Because when you talk about misogyny, the cruel hatred of women, sexism, sentiments directed against women because they're women, or patriarchy, which is the conscious or unconscious belief that men's lives determine how everybody else lives and therefore establish values, you can't start with hip-hop to look at the origins of that. We talk about religious institutions, we speak about educational institutions, and God forbid we speak about political institutions. It would behoove us to have the same self-critical impulse that hip-hop has had within the walls of these hallowed chambers. I think that, for me, it's a powerful and necessary issue to speak about the way in which black women in particular have been degraded and demonized in art forms that claim to speak for the broader spectrum of African-American thought, culture, or position. But what's equally interesting is the fact that these are deep roots in American culture when it comes to demonizing women. It didn't start with Snoop Dogg. It didn't start with anybody who's been associated with hip-hop culture. That's white supremacist ideology predicated upon capitalist expansion of opportunity. You're talking about commerce, we're in the right place. America is built upon the degrading images perpetuated against black women and men, brought here as slaves, used for free labor to build a country that they are presently denied. So when we think in terms of opportunity, So when we think about lethal misogyny, I don't want to dodge the bullet. Am I offended by it? And do I think that things within certain hip-hop communities and forums have gone too far? Absolutely. I write about it. I talk about it. I think about it. I argue with rappers. But I don't begin there with them. When Jesus met the woman at the well, he didn't have a conversation about her promiscuity, alleged, because then she'd have to account for the 5 men who abandoned her. He said, give me a drink of water. You start where people are. There's a conversation about misogyny and sexism, and we don't mention homophobia because polite society agrees that gay and lesbian people shouldn't have too much rights to begin with. So this is where hip-hop may agree with common civil society. So what's interesting is that the gay and lesbian people don't even, it's the B word, it's the N word, it's the H word, but it's not the F word or the L word. So what's interesting is that all of us have blind spots when it comes to articulating viewpoints that are edifying and uplifting. Not only am I against censorship because I don't want anybody to tell me what kind of book to write, right? When I wrote a book arguing with Mr. Bill Cosby, how dare you argue against an icon who has articulated positions that are critical of our society's perpetuation in a good sense. I agree with that. But I also think he said some stuff that qualifies for gangsterism against black women. He said most of these women are promiscuous. They name the kids the wrong things. He said, I'm trying to stop you from having sex with your grandma. When she's 15, she has a baby. When she's 13, she has a baby. You do the math. Now, that's not calling a woman a B or H, but it is scandalously misinterpreting sociologically the context within which she emerges and what she means. So if we're going to deal with misogyny and sexism and patriarchy and homophobia, we've got to dig deeper into the archives of American culture, and we've got to look at the practices, the behaviors, and the beliefs that are perpetuated in Congress, that are perpetuated in business affairs, that are perpetuated in entrepreneurial circles, and in religious institutions. Black women, let's not just march on the record companies. Let's march on churches that deny black women, who are 75 to 80% of the congregation, access to leadership positions that they give their money to support. Let's ban some preaching sermons that perpetuate, and they're worse than hip-hop because they get God involved. Now they